after you have your paper is you're going to make your first row, your background. So your background row is going to be cut from your construction paper. And everybody, I think, has like different colors of construction paper. It's okay, just pick whichever color you would like. I'm gonna choose red for mine. They use blue in that one. Whatever color suits your fancy. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your pencil and you're gonna just go ahead and draw some geometric shapes all in a line. You're going to basically draw a skyline that goes straight across. It shouldn't be separated. You should be able to go all the way across, and also it shouldn't be that tall either. You shouldn't go more than halfway up from your paper. And I'm just going to make some straight lines that go up and down. I might make some pointed and around. Some of my buildings went all the way down, some of them didn't, some of them are connected to each other. You're not gonna see these little lines that I have made because we're gonna end up turning this over, and some of these, I want them to be connected. I don't wanna have that much space. I'm just kind of fixing it a little bit. It's not really necessary to erase. You're gonna take your scissors and you're going to cut this out. Okay, try to stay as much on your lines as you can, but again, you're not gonna see these lines anyways because you're gonna flip this over so that you don't see it. Just be careful when you're cutting. If you mess up, just make it work. Right? Our mistakes make even better art, like I tell you guys all the time. But make sure that you're squeezing at the back of your scissors, not at the top. When you're cutting, as you guys had learned when you were cutting your cardboard. If you guys are still cutting, just pause the video anytime you need some more time. I will be here when you unpause. Okay. So, I finished my first row of my buildings. Okay? So I have my first row here, and what I'm gonna do is I am going to glue them onto my white piece of paper, and I'm gonna make sure that I flip it over. I have some pencil marks on this, and I know I'm gonna be covering this with the tissue paper, but I still don't wanna risk seeing them because I want my art piece to have craftsmanship like we've talked about and not look sloppy. So when I'm gluing this down, I want to glue it so that the pencil marks are down on the other side. Do you see how I went above a little bit? That's okay. I'm just gonna cut that extra off because I want enough room for my 3 layers of buildings. This is my first layer. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this down, and then I'm gonna glue the tissue paper on top of it. So I'm gonna do that really fast. So I glued this down, now I'm gonna glue my tissue paper down. And any tissue paper that goes around the sides, don't worry about trimming that yet. We can trim it at the very end. And now I'm gonna go ahead and cut my second row of buildings. I'm going to cut one more row of buildings, and then I'm going to glue it like this onto here and put one more piece of tissue paper. Then I can use these buildings if I would like for my last layer. Because remember, this is 3 layers, as you guys can see in the example online. So I'm gonna sketch one more row of buildings. I can go a lot higher with these buildings if I'd like. I can get a little bit more creative because I'm gonna be able to see more of them. And then I'm gonna cut these out. I'm not gonna cut the bottom off, I'm just gonna cut the top, and I'll be able to trim it afterwards. So we're gonna go ahead and cut these. Again, trying to be careful to keep your lines straight. Cityscapes are not organic shapes. They are very straight and geometric. Okay, and again, just like our other one, if you have some pencil marks, which you probably do, I know I do, that show through, you're just gonna flip it over so that you don't see the pencil marks and it's on the opposite side. So you're gonna place your next row of buildings on top of here, and you want to kind of position it so that you don't see any white space. So you see right here how if I press I can see those white areas. I don't want to see that. So I'm going to slide this up until it fits correctly. Okay, I like the way that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and then I have one more layer of tissue paper to glue on top of that. Okay, so now I have my second layer of buildings on. I need my second layer of tissue paper, which is my last layer of tissue paper, is going to get glued on top of this. All right, too cool. So now I have my 2 layers of buildings, and now I have my background, I have my middle ground, and now I need to create my foreground, which is what's going to be all the way in the front. My foreground is not going to have any tissue paper over the top of it because it's all the way in front. It's not foggy. The rest of the city is nice and foggy because it's getting further and further back. It gets foggier and foggier. I'm going to go ahead at this time and kind of trim up my edges. As you can see, where the back of my paper is, I have some pieces that are hanging out, which is why it doesn't look very neat. And I really like my art pieces to have craftsmanship. So I'm going to go ahead and trim those up. Much better already. So now my last row, you can do a bridge, you can do some more buildings. It's really up to you. I really liked how they did a bridge in there, so I'm gonna do kind of like my own kind of bridge. So I very quickly ran out of my construction paper, so what I'm doing is I'm being resourceful with my scraps. So because I had messed up before, I'm being resourceful and I'm using some of the excess choppings, and I'm just kind of cutting it so that I like the way I can make this into a sort of bridge. And if the bridge doesn't work out, then I'll make it into something else, right? We are creative and resourceful artists. So I want you guys to really be creative with what you put here in the foreground. I'm just putting random shapes now. Sometimes it's the best to not have a plan and you go into it and you'd be surprised as to how many beautiful things you can create. So now I have something in the front. This glue will dry and you won't be able to see it there. So again, craftsmanship, I'm going to trim off those extras that are at the bottom. And then when this dries, I can add a little bit of a texture or a pattern or something like that onto my bridge to make it look a little bit more realistic. But once this dries, it's gonna look really nice, and now you have something in the background, foreground, background, middle ground, and the foreground. And we've practiced that. Perspective, cityscape, awesome. All right, well, stay tuned for the next video so that we can continue on with our next lesson. Have a great day.